Wake your ass up
or take a damn nap.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have.
It's time.
Sean, you were twerking. That's going to happen.
Murph, don't be a dick all your life.
It's one of the more fun podcasts I've ever done.
Hey, I tell you what, if you're not talking about sports in the man cave, I bet not say you not a fan.
That's it.
Hey y'all, Kevin Hutchison here with Realty Austin, and I am grateful to be a part of Stories Inside the Man Cave, a homegrown podcast just like my own business.
Hey, look at the magic. One of my favorite folks in all of ATX, the Snupe Daniel. He is the man, the myth, and the legend of ATX high school sports on the digital platforms. This guy, hey, you young people watching, if you guys want to know how to build your brand, just tweet at this guy. You've done it, man. I've watched you. Well, you've always been taller than me, Snoop, but you've grown up this whole brand of yours just like that overnight. Man, I'm proud of you.
Well, not overnight, but yeah. I've worked a lot of overnights, but I'm telling you, I know, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of teams. When you try to cover boys and girls for both sports, I know we're probably here to talk mostly about football, but I definitely try to show love to all of the sports. And I think that kind of feeds, me covering soccer helps our football coverage because it's football players at the game, or me covering hoops during the student section going nuts. So really, you just kind of go for whatever is out there. That's really my only MO. If there's something to cover, try to go get footage of it and put it out for the world to see. So.
Man, you have, again, follow him on Instagram, the FLX ATX. Follow him on Twitter. Follow all the socials. The guy really does a great job and has really built a staff across the ATX here with the high school athletic department students. It's in some ways it's better than mainstream media. in many ways.
In ways, there's a lot of rules in mainstream media, like non-competes, and just you can't be on Fox and being on MSNBC. That's I'm not even a political person, but I try to use that for an analogy. So, I'm not in competition with anybody. And that's another thing. I can shine for other companies. So really it's I'm kind of playing unfair.
All right. Well, you know what? That's the thing. Multiple streams of income, you create your platform, and the Horn FM 104.9 The Horn. You can hear him.
So awesome.
Craig Way, all those big names here in Austin. And for those watching from other parts of the country, this is where you get to know people on the digital scene. And here in Texas, in the high school scene, it's a pretty big day. UIL Realignment happens every 2 years, and there are a lot of – I forgot who tweeted it, and I'm probably butchering it, Snoop, but they said a third of the people are happy, a third of the people are unhappy, and a third of the people are just dumbfounded. But again, the UIL has that thankless, tough job. They've got to put all these programs in different districts. And geographically, a lot of people are upset. What was your take this morning when you first saw the release? I believe it was at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. or something like that this morning. And by the way, it's icy here in Austin, so there were no gatherings, so to speak.
Yeah, all the people, the coaches meeting up at the Palmer Palace, it didn't happen, and it normally does. Even when they had COVID, I think people still went to the Manor Road location, which is a lot more low key. But honestly, for me, I thought it was okay. It's not like we haven't seen districts outside of a comfortable driving distance happen before. It's totally happened before, and it's happened. I'm not saying, but it's happened to, was it called LBJ, like a lesser school, but a school that has less means to do so, to travel to Fredericksburg and Canyon Lake, which they had to endure for 2 years, even though they're having all that glory, making it to the state semis and then Cowboy Stadium last year. that costs a lot of money, man. And like, it's not like they have all the boosters that LT or even like an Anderson has,
Yeah.
So, and Anderson is Austin Independent School District. So there really is like, I don't want to say a have and have not, but just like if you can afford to do it and you're just complaining because it costs a little more, that's one thing. But, if you truly like are going to get put out of house and home, that's why LBJ had to move up, like they could have stayed in 4A in one state like 10 years in a row, be like Carthage or something. But man, like they would have nothing. Just trying to put on a football season. That's
right. I mean, it requires a lot of resources.
No clue.
And Jamal Fenner, honestly, what they've done, it's a model for inner cities programs to follow. I mean, it's taken a few years, and but it's the fruits of the labor. Let's get with it, man. We're not going to go through every district, but the big one, and you mentioned one of them, Anderson. They have gone back up to 6A. This was no surprise. Let me see if I can pull it. Here we go.
So nice, Sean. Great work.
So, there we go. So your take on this, you cover all these teams and follow them. I thought it was just inevitable that Anderson was going to go back up. I mean, they had their ride for 2 years at 5A Division I. What stands out to you about 26 6A?
Well, you lose San Marcos to the San Antonio area, and you lose Hayes, which drops down to 5A. And you replace them with the 12A, 5A D1 champion Dripping Springs Tigers with Baylor commit Austin Novosad and an up-and-coming Buda Johnson team that took Cedar Park to overtime in a bye-district round last year. And they only had one loss, and that was to Dripping Springs. So 51-7, by the way, so Drip whooped them. But, any team that goes from 5A to 6A is going to have an adjustment period, unless you're like Shadow Creek or somewhere out of Houston. It's just going to happen. And 9 teams is a massive district. That means you only get 2 non-district games, and 5 teams are going to go home sad at the end of the season, not making the playoffs. So, like for whatever it's worth, I mean, the future isn't written, and that's why I'm trying to preach to these kids, because there's a lot of negativity from the kids today, especially from these schools, especially Buda Johnson and Dripping Springs. I don't want to take up too much time on this, but they're kind of like down in the dumps because they got to play with Lake Travis and Westlake. But also, Del Valley is a beast, and so is Bowie, and so is Anderson, by the way. And Anderson might be feeling actually more confident moving up because they don't have to play Cedar Park and Georgetown every year. So, I mean, Austin High is going to have a whole new coaching staff, and they quietly have like some class of 25 kids I don't think that anybody really knows about, including Charles Wright's little brother and a young kid by the name of Bats and Bowie. Come off one of their years. This is a great district, and it's going to be the one unique thing I'll mention is how the realignment shakes out the enrollment numbers. The biggest school in this district is Lake Travis. Second biggest is third biggest is Westlake. There's only one school that's bigger than Westlake and smaller than Lake Travis. That's the Del Valley Cardinals. So
I would not have guessed that.
Westlake is low-key rooting for Del Valley to make the postseason this year, because if they want to go back to the state championship game, the quote-unquote easier route is Division II. So if Westlake and Lake Travis make the playoffs and anybody but Del Valley or one of the other 2 teams, both of them are going to go D1. So not only would it mean that they would meet in the state quarterfinals, but also they have the toughest road. And then, but if Del Valley somehow makes it in, and they haven't been in a while, even though they've been talented, I think it's really frustrating. If they're able to make it in, that means Westlake could go D2, and they're more likely to go to Jerry World again.
What stands out, I love all those points. And what stands out to me is, listen, I'm not saying this is a given, but you got to say of the 4, Lake Travis and Westlake are going to take 2 spots. Bowie more than likely will have one of them, one of the 4. And like you said, it's sad because you've got 6 teams battling for the 4th spot. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to hand out trophies before the season starts. But yeah, that's your analysis of that, solid as usual. Now I did talk to Coach Mann, longtime head coach of the Rouse Raiders, and his reaction was, what he told me was, when he opened it up this morning from home, he goes, basically, what the hell? He was, because he's not what he was expecting.
No.
And like you and I just talked about, it's not that big of a difference. About that district, what was your first reaction?
Well, I think that they're going to be resoundingly favorites. I think it's a weaker district. There's no Brenham. Glenn is still Glenn ain't in there. Hold on, let me make sure that I'll pull it up and get it right, because I had like not notes, but I was talking about this to kids. Oh, here we go. Okay, so yeah, Elgin. No hate on Elgin. They can beat Elgin. Colleen Chaparral is a brand. Oh, you have it right there. What the heck? I don't need my.
It was magic.
Oh, look at, wow! It's like I mirror myself. But yeah, no, not trying to cap, but
right.
I don't think this is. You know who has the issues of the Rouse, the girls going to 25-5A, because they are grouped with all kinds of beasts. But this district is kind of weak. Shout out to Coach. But you know what? Also, that means that, hey, Coach Jason Cecil can make a return to the playoffs.
I'd like to see that.
Maybe Charles Taylor. I don't know. I'm making a crazy prediction right now, but I think maybe Charles Taylor's son, who right now is in junior high, I think maybe he could magically wind up playing quarterback for them next year, and maybe Pflugerville makes the playoffs. That is, they've been actually making the playoffs. Maybe Elgin has a chance. Elgin has some young talent too. They haven't been to the postseason since Peter McFarland days, so they've kind of still been reeling off of the passing of Willie Simmons. Really tragic murder.
Tough.
Yes. Tough. And Belton is kind of like, I'm just going to ignore Waco University and Colleen Chaparral and Belton, because they aren't really in our area. But yeah, I think Coach Mann has a good shot at another district title.
I do too. And this is just the start. If you look at the GI, I mean, I know I focus too much on where teams are located, programs are, but you go as far as Belton. That's 45 minutes away for most of these programs. So is Waco University.
Yeah.
Go back to Leander, Pflugerville. That's not bad. And then you go east to Elgin. So UIL had to figure something out.
Yeah, they had to put. I think maybe, of course, it would have made more sense to put Elgin with Bastrop and Cedar Creek, since they're all down that 290 corridor. So yeah, that's a questionable call, and they're going to get some things wrong with so many schools. But yeah, that stands out for sure as maybe a miscalculation on adding that team to the district. Elgin.
I see what they're trying to do, equality. But if these notes right here they were doing their best to try, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were attempting to create as many 8-team districts as possible.
Well, that's probably the most ideal, because it'll cap you at 3 non-district games. And really, like I said, like with the other district with 9 teams, like 5 teams go outside. I know maybe that's like an emotional core pool, but it's with 8, and it feels less daunting of a task. And I think 8 is more of the ideal number. And honestly, I like 7-team districts, to be honest. Some districts were 6-team districts. So whatever. I love Dr. Elza, whether she's right or wrong.
Yeah, she's good people. I mean, again, it's just there never will be a realignment that you can be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection ever in this, because you have too many people to please. And they're not in the business of people pleasing. They just got to do what's best for everybody at once. So we mentioned the 9-team district, 26-6A. Now we're down to 5A. This district right here, Snoop, I think this may give some folks a run for the best district in the state, if I can just pull this thing up. It's this one. Oh no, that's not it. We just looked at it. See what I mean? This thing is operating slowly, my friend.
It's all good. That's a good district too. That district. The kids.
That's it. That is it. That's the one I'm talking about. That's it.
Yeah, 11-5A is a beast. The kids are complaining that they're like, who invited College Station to play with us? Like, why?
State champions.
They're exactly. So, and they're like upset about that. They're like, why? Like, who did this? So that is something that the kids don't like. And A&M consolidated, because those two teams, College Station and A&M Console, are coming into this district like we got 2 of the spots, fam. The rest of Austin gonna have to fight for these other 2 spots. We got 2, and I would say College Station probably does have one of them locked up. But yeah, it's gonna be, and it's kind of flipped in the other 6A district, which we might not talk about because it's not Austin centric. But Weiss and Hutto going to that district with Brian and all them is like a bunch of schools that are not from the Austin area, and these 2 weirdo Austin schools. So Weiss and Hutto are the weirdos in that district, and College Station and A&M Console are the weirdos in this district. And what makes it super weird is that all these teams are such like marquee Austin area programs. I mean, Cedar Park speaks for themselves, state championships, state quarterfinals, massive place. Georgetown, story program, state finals in 2012 with Jake Hubenak and tons of playoff appearances. Eastview, really, they're moving back up. They haven't been group with Georgetown in 4 years, and like, they really hated each other, playing each other. And I think they split and were happy, but now that rivalry is going to get renewed. Leander comes from greatness. People forget, like, Coach Gideon days.
Gideon,
Leander used to be like a double-digit win team annually. Glenn, a sleeper, like how Coach Cross ended that season with the Grizzlies and winning so many games in a row and finally getting that slot T to work. That takes time to develop. And lastly, Hendrickson, I think the team that most people want to write off because the majority of the student body now goes to Weiss, which is the cool school. But Hendrickson almost made the playoffs last year, and they got a lot of young talent. And I think Hendrickson getting away from Pflugerville, getting away from Weiss, and just kind of like building their own, finding themselves again. This is like, I'm giving them like a pep talk, I feel.
Yeah, you are. They need you in the locker room.
Hendrickson's going to get back to where, they have an opportunity to, at least for these next 2 years.
Well, shout out to Henderson alum Samaje P. Ryan playing in the Super Bowl a week from Sunday.
Yeah, that's one of the first kids I covered, man.
Man,
I remember Samaje reaching out to me on Facebook and Messenger, and he was like going into his sophomore year. He's like, "Watch for me." yeah. And then and his wife now, Meg P. Ryan, who was Meg Haney then, was our first Hendrickson eye reporter. So
is that right?
Yeah, it's crazy, and now they got 2 kids, so it's fun to watch these kids grow up and become richer and more successful than you.
Hey, it's funny. So I came back to Austin after 2 decades when I started at KView. And I had just left Oklahoma City, and he's going to OU, who I used to cover for 6 years. And we know what he did there.
All-time leading rusher at that point in time for Oklahoma.
He's a stud. And, I would love to see him become a Super Bowl champion. That's just – and he's a great, great person as well.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he's got his pension locked in too.
Lifetime.
So lifetime. So I think I don't know if it's 3 or 5 years, but he's been there at least, close to 5, if not 5. And, that's the hardest thing to do is to stay in the league like long. That's the goal, man. Like stand there long enough, not just have a cup of tea, like stay so long that they pay you for the rest of your life.
Hey, get paid, buddy. That's the goal. That 5 years. And, that lifespan for running backs is –
he's had his injuries over the years too. Like, I was talking with Jeff Howe at 24/7, also of Light the Tower here on the Horn, and he said that he wasn't super highly recruited because he tore his ACL his junior season. So it was really like him latching on with Oklahoma was more of what he had done in the past. And, and hey, man, headed to the Super Bowl.
It's going to be fun. It just gives us more incentive to watch. But I think all those the NFC, AFC championship games really provided more electricity than normal. I think there's more fans watching. Now, District 12, 5A Division 2, it's all AISD. And that's basically LBJ's and McCallum's district. And I don't think anything's changed.
They're going to be the favorites. LBJ coming off the state championship. I will say I thought that this was the biggest win of the redistricting because it gives Austin ISD its own district, and no hate to these other communities, but when Dripping Springs was in here winning that district 2 years in a row, they probably didn't need to be there. When Liberty Hill won it these past 2 years, they probably didn't need to be there, and Marble Falls probably didn't need to be in there. So now kids from Crockett, Navarro, Northeast, Eastside Memorial, they can actually have legit dreams of going to the postseason. I mean, and we all know, LBJ is elite. I wouldn't say McCallum is elite. I would say they're very good, but
Yeah.
They graduate. They're 3-year starter. Jackson Rosales at quarterback. So Coach Gammerdinger is going to have to find a new signal caller. And usually McCallum does have a decent quarterback in there, but I mean, they're not guaranteed to be in there. I would say McCallum has a good shot, but I mean, now, yeah, you wake up and you go to Crockett in the morning, like, hey, we don't have to play Liberty Hill. We don't have to play Marble Falls. Like, we got LBJ, and then, like, the rest of these games, I mean, McCallum might be tough, but we might can come up with a game plan and beat them. And, you know, that's it. They should be excited because for these next 2 years, though, I think it'll be more fun, you know. They'll have to have, you know, a shot and not get all hurt up, man, because when they play those beast teams, they beat them down. They come in there to try to pummel them so they can get their backups in, and they go hard on those young guys.
Yeah. Especially Liberty Hill. That was
that's it. They are some weight. You know why they're so good? Because they're weight room psychos.
Beast in the weight room.
Oh, like, dude, you don't want to mess with Liberty Hill.
But hey, and we used to say they were country boys. I mean, they kind of still are.
They are country strong too.
Country strong.
But you talk to Coach Walker, man, he's like, their weight sessions are scary.
That's where the hardest work, from what I've been told, that off-season weight conditioning or weight room and the weight room regiment and routine is harder than any practice they go through.
Yeah.
And I just portrayed to be you, by the way. I had the wrong name up for me.
Oh, you good?
Yeah.
We have a conversation. I mean, if the audience can't tell who the difference between us, you know, I can't. But,
hey, I just hadn't been out in the sun long enough, man.
Right.
My color is transparent.
Yes. Oh my God. Give me some sun. Yeah, but yeah, and I think that's probably the hardest thing to get kids to do is to do that weight room stuff because it's not really sexy. I wouldn't say it's fun. I mean, people and they're just kind of getting it. You got to have a grind. You got to have a mentality because a lot of guys just don't. I mean, a lot of kids are naturally strong from their DNA. They have strong parents, so they got like this natural, like just they're already strong. Right. I don't have to work all that hard. I'm already stronger than him. But you know, like how motivated are you to? I mean, not like compare yourself to others, but just try to reach your own ceiling. I think there's a lot of that goes on at Liberty Hill. I think that was the mentality at Cedar Park. You know, I've heard not due to the coach or anything. So this is not on Coach Quintero, but I've heard even like the seniors, the class of 22, say that the class just wasn't as into that grind of like hitting the weight room. We're gonna run track, you know, because football is kind of for psychos and crazy warriors.
Well, there's some truth to that, but I think COVID also,
for sure,
because you've been in touch more with the high school athletes more so than I would say anybody, and you probably, without revealing conversations, you've probably learned that it really interrupted a lot of their routines and some of the grind, so to speak. They had to do it on their own.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden you're put back into a structured program. It's tough. Mm-hmm. How bad do you want it? That's what it boils down to. Yeah,
how bad do you want to have followers on TikTok and Snapchat, or because that's very important to them too. You know, that's something that never even thought about back in the day. But let me tell you, that's very important to them. Like social media presence. I mean, I really can't compare it to anything else because I don't think it's meant as much to a generation of people who have lived on this earth like the people who are coming around now. And you think about the COVID kids, that's a whole nother, let's say, just a dimension of kids and their mentality and how they approach life.
It's and you do, and I'm not just saying this because you're here. You do a fabulous job because there's some secret sauce to social media marketing and who you appeal to. So many people want to produce these long videos, man. You do it right, the TikTok video style, which is quick, it's attention grabbing. And I'm serious, everybody, regardless of what if you're Gen X, Gen Y, Z, whatever, go to FLX ATX and check out Snupe Daniel. The work, you'll see what I'm talking about. I can't really paint the picture well enough. I'm just saying.
It's just, we do a lot.
But you have to have a lot of hands on deck, so to speak. Hey, if I didn't tell you, This episode of the UIL Realignment, sponsored by Kevin Hutchison and Realty Austin. And speaking of sponsors, Snoop, this one will be fun. It's the one over on your left, over my right shoulder, MANSCAPED.com. They're now a partner of us. And so we're going through a little 1-month trial. We had some conversations. They sent me a kit. You open the box and it says, "Your balls will thank you." And manscaping is important. You got to keep yourself presentable, clean.
Yep.
You're a man on the town always. You got to keep. That's your money maker, and that's why this is one of my favorites. I have no idea why it's blocked out, but the Weed Whacker. You know, it's simple.
Yep.
Nasal passages. You don't want those unsightly.
No, and it really hurts to just.
Yeah, I've done it in the car.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And sometimes it just won't come out.
It feels like a twig to a pecan tree or fishing line.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Manscaped.
Look, this is our segment called Manscaping in the Man Cave, but we're going to keep it FCC. We're not going to violate any rules. You know, even though these podcasts, we have no rules. But that's the sound of the Weed Whacker. Listen how it's very quiet. You just trim that up, trim these up before you go out. You don't want your first impression, Snoop, to be something just, you know, how can I say it? Some overgrowth.
Yeah.
And
unscaped.
And these special people in our lives, the significant others, or someone you're trying to have a conversation with and get to know a little better, or if you know them well enough, you don't want to resemble the German black forest below the belt.
Hell no.
You don't want all that. Manscaped.com. Go there. Visit it. And when you order the Weed Whacker or the brand new package, which Manscaped.com sent me, I use it daily. ManCave 20. We'll get you 20% off. That's the promo code, 20% off of your order. And it is well worth it. And it's something, the one thing that I do love, and you're going to laugh, it's called the ball deodorant. It smells like sweet mahogany.
Okay, all right. Mahogany is wood?
Yep.
Checking. Well, wouldn't you know it?
Wouldn't you know it? Snoop, I'm not going to let you go without partaking in a Stories Inside the Man Cave tradition. It's usually the best part. It's the Man Cave story, sponsored by a guy's dad or a quarterback's dad you used to cover, or a quarterback.
Sam Saxton?
Yep. Jim Saxton, State Farm Insurance Agency.
What up, Mr. Saxton?
What up from Snoop to Jimmy Saxton, Longhorn legacy.
Former, yeah, his son used to play. He started at Westlake.
Right. Mm-hmm. He has talent.
Awesome. Yeah,
he did. But that's the thing. You talking about the grind. Football, it's you have limitations for people. Some people just get burnt out.
Tom Brady finally did.
He said, well, it took him 85 years, but he's the GOAT. I think we all can agree.
Not as good as Sam Saxton, but whatever.
Sam Saxton, he's a GOAT in his own way.
Sam Saxton, Tom Brady.
There's some similarities. There's some. Snoop, anything that you have happen in life, a locker room, or your interactions with all these high school players and coaches, or maybe when young Snoop was coming up. You're from DeSoto, right?
I am.
So maybe it's something that occurred in DeSoto, a story that you love telling people, and you could have a 1A and 1B type situation here. Story time, Man Cave story time with Snupe Daniel.
Well, I need to keep it PG. Man, golly, well, I wish I would have been prepared, because I mean, there's so many different things I could talk about.
I should have told you.
Should have like narrowed it down to something. I want to do something positive and PG. I'm pushing P.
Pushing P.
Yeah,
I love it.
You know what? I will roll with how I got down here.
Let's do that.
I was sending off cassette demos of me on the radio. A lot of them feigned or faked or done in a production studio, trying to get my first full-time radio gig, because that's what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be in radio and be on music radio and talk up records. And so anyway, somebody from Austin hit me up. It was a 101X. It's an alternative rock station in town, and they wanted a morning show producer just to, come up with content and do production, help them do all that. And and so I hopped in a car that probably I shouldn't have even driven outside of the city limits from Dallas to Austin. It broke down about 3 days after I got here and never drove again. But we've
all had one of those.
Yep. But and I just toiled. I probably worked part-time radio for 8 years, longer than I would suggest anybody give that much time, because I could have went to school and been a doctor in 8 years or anything. I enjoyed life, but so life hasn't always been rosy. Lots of bus rides and walking and eating Cheetos and stealing 99-cent hot dogs from HEB. Sorry about HEB. I was hungry. So, lots of, but just trying to get it. So, but I always was able to work hard. So that's kind of like my story of how I got here is hustle, hard work. And I just been the same way, really, just in a better situation.
I love that, Snoop. I didn't know the whole story, and I'm a big fan, or not a big fan, but obviously I'm a fan of yours. But I'm a huge advocate of we have a path, we have a journey, and sometimes we get in our own way when we think we should be going this way or that way. Your path, how you arrived here, is how it was supposed to happen, and you may not see it now, but you're going places. It may be here. You may be building your own business here with what you're doing, your platforms, man. Your journey, man. You're taking the right path, man. I love your attitude toward it all.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, you're a fine American.
I love America, no doubt, man. I was adopted by military parents to get here.
Are you really?
Thank God. Yes, in the Philippines. I'm allergic to shellfish. They eat a lot of shellfish over there. I could be dead.
Oh my God, Snoop, we might be related. Seriously. I'm adopted as well, and I'm allergic to shellfish because of the iodine, but it's curtailed the effect on my body. With age. I don't know how that happened. Interesting.
Well, yeah, I'm still really allergic. Yeah, but shout out to the Air Force stationed in Manila Bay. Brought back home a present. Me. Thank God.
And man, they cannot seem to get rid of you.
Oh shoot.
Hey,
I never leave.
To Mama Daniel and Pop Daniel, thanks for bringing this guy over here. If you guys are watching or listening, we're glad you did that. And wherever my bios are, man, I appreciate you guys, but I got my adopted family. I couldn't ask for a better situation. Had to work my ass off though, but that's all right. It's all good.
Builds character.
It does. Hey, Snoop, this is where we end it, unfortunately, because I can keep talking for an hour and a half. And I appreciate you carving out time this evening.
Of course. Hey, man, we're in a snow lockdown. I appreciate the opportunity to do something fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it is. We've had a lot of lockdowns lately. Yeah, but we're accustomed to it.
Yeah, I miss the old Austin where it only get cold like once every 5 years. What is this every year? We have winter every year now.
Yeah, more than 1 week too.
I live here.
I don't get it. So cocktail soon. If there may be one in that looks like a Pabst Blue Ribbon coffee mug. No, it doesn't say Pabst Blue Ribbon.
No.
We're gonna leave. You guys are camping out at the place of employment, but. For the stories inside the Man Cave OGs, that being Big Mike, Coach Mo, and Hardball Harge, and for the FLX ATX legend himself, Snupe Daniel. Yes, and this is not working for me today. This thing
is it an outro? Is it?
It is. We are out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.